We talk about deer chores every single month. Maybe we skip October, November because we're hunting. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But when it gets into January, a lot you do in January could set the tone for what you're doing the entire year and really how well you're going to do during the season, during actual hunting time. Because let's face it, that's what we're gearing up for. And I think a lot of people just put whitetail hunting to bed, forget about it after the season. Now, I'm assuming that your season is done. I know there's a lot of seasons that go into January. I've really enjoyed in Ohio taking part of the muzzleloader hunt several different years on opening day down in public land in southern Ohio. But bottom line is there's a lot to do in January, and you can't miss it because all of a sudden you put it away for the season, you put everything away, you put your whitetail thoughts away, and you get into June, okay, I better get out there, and then July, and all of a sudden you're scrambling in August. And so not only deer stands and scouting and deer hunting related activities for right now, but also getting out in the woods and enjoying this time of year and seeing what the deer are doing. I think a lot of clues that you have right now, and we'll talk about that scouting, number one here, but a lot of things you do right now really can give you a glimpse into what the deer were doing in October, November, December. And then that, of course, sets a tone for how well your hunt's going to do. Let alone all the chores that you have to do. There's habitat, there's deer bedding creation, water holes you can put out in May, stand locations you can set as soon as springtime comes around or remove. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But there's so much that you can do in the off season to get ready, so that by the time you get into August, September, you're really down to those final touches. Maybe you have food plots, maybe huge food plot program you're putting in, but a lot of that can be saved till later. And what we're trying to talk about in these chores are things you can do right now to keep you on track, and the winter scouting is critical. Dylan and I actually did a little winter scouting today, even though we were out shooting videos. Jen and I did winter scouting yesterday while we were moving cameras around. And then we also did the other day when we were looking for Barry's sheds. Barry's a wounded buck. We've probably heard the story about that, but he was limping badly. He dropped both his antlers, as a lot of stressed bucks do drop early, on December 18th or 19th. We have video of them from before and after. So we know approximately where they're at, but man, needle in a haystack. It really is like looking for it. Even they're out there, it's difficult to find sometimes. We're going to put more time in. We've already put 2 hours. And we'll keep looking. But winter scouting, I love this time of year because you can look and see what happened during the hunting season and not the huge overwhelming amount of sign that can happen during the wintertime. Think upper north or up north type deer yards. So upper Midwest, where deer are congregating from miles around. I think of the UP of Michigan, where they might migrate 20 miles or 18 miles, 15. And they all congregate together, and the amount of sign they leave over a few months is staggering. The amount of pellets, the trails, the ice trails in the spring when the snow melts and there's still ice crisscrossing through those cedar swamps. It can make it look like this is the place to be when you hunt during the fall and the deer are not there. In fact, they're 100% not there in a lot of those locations. So the late winter sign can be extremely misleading. No different than you go find where a giant buck is bedding during the summertime. Probably 90-95% of the time, he will not be there during the rut, during October, during December. He's just not going to be there. He had a different condition of food and habitat. He wants shade, cool airflow. He doesn't want to crash his antlers, his velvet antlers, through a bunch of brush and briars and stem count. Completely different where he is during the summer versus during the fall, and where he's at during late winter. So right now, great time to get out and really focus on those stand locations you thought were duds. We went to one, we call it Lost Track, out of the few dozen we have out here this year in Minnesota. We went to one that just should be producing, and it's not. So you can't take it at face value. Well, there's just not a mature buck around that area. We just don't have the deer movement. You always have to ask yourself why. It's not only why are deer using a certain stand location, you have to figure that out, but you have to figure out why they're not. And so once you answer both those questions on both sides of the aisle, then you really start to learn about deer habitat. And I think not enough people ask why. And so we're looking at this stand location, and it's really evident right now. We even found a scrape this morning that had urine in it. And so they're peeing in scrapes right now. And that scrape was evident a couple weeks ago. It was evident a few days ago when we were looking for Barry's antlers. And then that relates to a lot of the rub sign that's down below and crossings in a steep ravine. It's also relating to lower trails that go through the draw of this location. And so what it all tells me is that the deer just aren't utilizing this corner. And when you look at the big picture, it's really on the way to nowhere. And there's a stand location on the neighbor's property about 100 yards away, 150 yards away. So not only is that pressure pushing deer and blocking them from around that area, but also where they're naturally moving and crossing as it relates to the food sources we have there, the whole picture becomes very clear when we're looking at it right now. Don't expect it to be that clear in June, July, August when there's bugs and leaves and it's hot and it's sweaty. Right now is the time to scout. It's going to be your most accurate time of the year and you can't miss out. Number 2, winter mock scrapes. We also did that today. Jen and I had found a great spot for a tree stand, as in almost every stand location and blind location I have out there, I've run it by Dylan too. I really like getting his thoughts. We've worked together for a number of years, hunted together, and I don't consider him just a co-worker, but actually a friend, and I trust his advice, which is why I trust him to go on client properties. He's been on, close to 300 now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy, actually. But bottom line is, ran it by Dylan today. It verified that. I already had a vine in the back of the side-by-side, had a little bit of string, and so we tied that mock scrape up, put a camera out, and perfect time to do so because we can inventory deer. We can see how they're using a certain area, make sure we're pinpointing in the right location, and bottom line, make sure that that's the spot we want to have a lot of fun doing it. So we enjoy doing that right now. Those mock scrapes are really cool. We set the pattern of the use for months to come. Deer get used to it in that area. I've seen basically deer trails that are 20 yards away, 30 yards away. And if they're 100 yards away, they're not going to change. But you can take those trails that might be on either side of a ridge and really congregate them into a certain point because they want to hit that mock scrape. And of course we talk about how to do that too in that video, and I have over 60 mock scrape videos that you can learn how to create great mock scrapes. But bottom line is, it's a great time to do so right now for many reasons, and that goes along with that winter scouting. So when we're scouting right here and finding a new stand location, we think it's going to be a really hot spot, we actually are going to add a water hole to that location too. But bottom line, what's the first thing we're doing? When Dylan and I were out hunting on this property, this is our 4th hunting season. So the first turkey season, before we even hunted, we hadn't even purchased a property yet. Dylan, what's the first habitat improvement we did when we were out turkey hunting?
We were hanging mock scrapes in camo.
Yep, hanging mock scrapes, putting a camera on it. And I even had people say, oh, you just wanted to wear the camo to, Dylan, you don't even see like some of these comments, but yeah, you just wanted to wear the camo and show it off to while you're making a mock scrape. Why would you wear full camo? It's because we were in the middle of turkey hunting. So, and priorities took over, meaning mock scrape. It's the first thing I do when I pick a stand location. I pick a mock scrape and where the camera's going to go. And that's what we did. Wintertime scouting the last few days. So what am I doing? I'm hanging mock scrapes, and which is why I had it all set and ready to go. Trail cam management. This is that time of year. We keep our trail cameras running for the majority of the entire year. Not to say we don't have a break here or there with some of them, but just in Wisconsin and Minnesota alone, and this is a portion of our cameras, we move 15, or we put batteries in 15. 4 brand new spots. So why are we doing that right now? New stand location, like I said, and then also shed hunting hotspots. We have areas where bucks will start to congregate in a month from now, and we want to see when they drop their antlers to determine our timing when we go and look for antlers. Last year we had deep snow all the way until melt in April, and it was turkey season. So it was a very poor shed season last year, but we really want to have those cameras to tell us exactly when. That's how we know that Barry lost his antlers, and out of all the deer on our property, he's the one I want to find. So we're going to spend some time looking for him, but that determines when we should be in the woods and when we should be out of the woods, waiting for antlers to actually drop, and then also inventory what bucks made it through the season. So this is a great time to move your trail cameras around. So we're moving them to traditional hot spots for sheds. We're keeping some in inventory spots, and of course we're moving some to new stand or blind locations that we can't wait to actually work on as part of our deer chores in April, May, June. Bedding area cutting. Last year I started on January 1st. It's January 2nd right now. Maybe I'll take the chain out, the saw out this afternoon. We're probably going to go for a little drive, but maybe tomorrow or the next day. But you can bet it's January 2nd today. Within 2 or 3 days, I'll start working on our first cuttings for the year for habitat. And it's amazing. We completed a lot of major cuttings last year, and then Dylan and I have been into those areas. The stem counts per acre are just incredible in there. The regeneration we've had, there's one aspen shoot that's 7 feet high. Most are 3-4 feet high. That one actually had a rub on it. But it's pretty cool, the stump sprouts that have taken place, any kind of hinge cuts that we did, and it's almost thick enough to hold deer and actually offer cover. But after this second summer of growth coming up, it's going to be so thick in there, and the trails that are already going through in there, the deer will keep them open. And we're going to have great cover going into just hunting season number 2 after we cut. And that all starts in January. So great time to cut, to experience full growth, regeneration. We have briars all over the place in that location. Thousands per acre of aspen shoots, and of course all the hardwood cutting regeneration. So it's a great time to do so, and we'll talk about that in other videos too. And then stand locations takedowns. Should you take them down now or not? And the point is, I know, Dylan, you said you were going to take them down in the springtime sometime.
Yeah.
And when you really want to take them down, I don't think there's a lot of damage. You can get some sun damage on them right now. Some critters can get the seats depending on what type of stand you have. But especially when you get into the summertime, by taking them down now, you're not getting growth on those straps and potentially pulling those straps away and getting the further sun exposed, heat exposed. And so regardless whether you take them down now, and now, of course, if there's 2 feet of snow, who wants to take stands down when there's 2 feet of snow? Right now, we have about a ½ inch in the woods, an inch at the most. So pretty easy to move around. And I'll offer that with cutting too. When you're cutting, it's pretty dangerous. I've completed some cutting in the UP of Michigan where there's probably a 30-inch snow base, and I'm doing that with snowshoes. A lot more planning when you're cutting down, and you have to make sure that you have a good escape route, and you're dealing with snowshoes and deep snow. When you can actually get out of the way in a hard surface ground and move quickly, that's always a lot safer. So really right now is a great time, whether you're taking stands down, being able to move around, scouting. We just don't have the snow like we normally do right now. And also finding stand locations, an incredible time to get into the woods, mock scrape time with not much snow on the ground, or no snow probably in your area. But bottom line is there's a lot to do right now that sets a tone, including winter scouting, your mock scrapes, your trail cam management, inventorying, watching these areas, your bedding area cuttings. Those are all activities that you can do right now that'll pay big dividends in the fall. You know, every month is important, but you might as well start off the new year right by actually getting some great chores done right now. And you know, there's other work you can do right now, but this is a list that we're typically doing in the woods and keeping on track with, which might change from year to year a little bit. And I think if you follow what we're doing in the woods, it's going to keep you on track with your own property and put some bucks, the deer you want to, in front of your stand while you're deer hunting this fall. Now, I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, our WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there, and then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things, and this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.